Willis in the hot seat. So Fani Willis, things were kind of going okay. Well, now there's a little bit of bad news for poor Fani, because it seems as though maybe she should never have been functioning as the district attorney in Fulton County, Georgia, to begin with. Right? That's what's at issue. So they just set a date, ladies and gentlemen. This is the local report. Actually, not a local report. This is CNN. And you can see CNN has its own spin. CNN, a special little spin entirely, trying to say that somehow this is not going to matter because it's going to happen past Election Day. Let me just say, the case is set for October. So it's going to be front and center on every single person's mind, every voter's mind. And what are they going to remember? Oh, good old Fani Willis, who had that thing with Nathan Wade and was seemingly, possibly, maybe benefiting in some way, shape, or form. Again, careful with the jokes. But the reality on this one, it seems, and this is what it's going to be up to the Trump team to have to prove, is that Fani Willis may have benefited financially from this arrangement. You see, Nathan Wade was, it seems, her boyfriend. Now, how do we know that? We know that because there were some 30,000 text messages going back and forth between the two of them before he even got the gig. Little suspicious, right? So before he gets the gig, they're in constant communicado, and then he's going over to her apartment, her condo, whatever. This is all while he's married, by the way. We know about this because the ex-wife, was a little perturbed and had a lot of questions as to where her family's finances were situated because, you see, he had this little thing going on the side. And the little thing going on the side apparently started before Fani actually hired him. Now, if I am the Trump attorney, you know what I want to try and prove here? I want to figure out just exactly whether or not there was any benefit outside of the cruises and the dinners for Fani Willis to hiring Nathan Wade. In other words, was there any kind of kickback thing going on? I'm just asking, right? It's hard for us to know, in part because apparently everything was done in cash. And don't you dare question it. No way, Jose. You're not allowed to say, well, why is there no record of anything? Why are there no receipts? Fani's dad, a former Black Panther turned lawyer, tried to explain that. You see, on the stand down in Fulton County, Georgia, when this all first came around, let's listen to him. Don't ask about the cash because...
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Council.
When your daughter moved or left the house that she owned, did she say anything to you about having a large savings of cash?
Oh, no, no. See, maybe, excuse me, and Your Honor, I'm not trying to be racist, okay? But it's a black thing, okay? I was trained. And most black folks, they hide cash or they keep cash. And I was trained. You always keep some cash because I've been places, and just because of the color of my skin, for example, I took a fellowship at Harvard when my daughter was just if I might, Your Honor, when I was just, she was just,
Excuse me? All right, you know what? A lot of people keep cash around. Cash is kind of handy to have now and then. Less so these days than maybe years before. My father used to say to me, I remember we were kids in New Hampshire, we'd go to Boston for the day, and he'd always say, well, make sure you have some cash, right? Because it was back in the days of payphones. You needed to have a few quarters on hand. I'm sorry, I'm not buying that. Okay, I'm not buying it, not for 2 seconds. I think if anybody's moving around cash in the gigantic sums to which they're talking about, there's something else going on, all right? There's got to be. I mean, it's my estimation, and this is what I would be trying to figure out right now. We're talking forensic accounting from the Trump team. So this is going to court in October, okay, right before the November election. So the deal is they don't get this thing thrown out. That's what should have happened. Frankly, honestly, that's what should have happened because the Trump team, in my estimation, did not fully do their job. And I know we want to pick on the judge, et cetera, but they should have done a better job trying to prove this out, this whole theory that somehow she was benefiting financially, because then they could have actually gotten her tossed and her entire office tossed, and therefore the case tossed. So that was sort of the what they were going for. That was the brass ring, and they completely missed it. But they have a second opportunity because, again, the appeal is happening. And today the date was set. So watch out for October. Fani Willis, increasingly now in trouble. Now, what's interesting is that they're trying to say, oh, no. This is a relationship that started in the workplace, which is bad enough, right, in and of itself, but actually would differ in that you can't make the exact connection that somehow she was benefiting from him getting the salary. He was making $600,000 plus dollars, right? How much of that might have been, I'm just asking the question, going to Fani? These are questions that they need to probe. This is why they need their hands on her financial records and his financial records, which I imagine they can get thanks to the ex-wife. Anyway, she promised us she wasn't going to do any of this funny business, right? This was not going to happen. No way. That's not me, Fani Willis. She sat down with a local reporter there in Fulton County, Georgia, while she was running for district attorney and had this to say.
Because they deserve a DA that won't have sex with his employees. Because they deserve a DA that won't put money in their own pocket when it should go to benefit children. Because we deserve better.
Yeah, you know what? The Fulton County people, taxpayers, do deserve better, which is why they didn't deserve whatever happened with you hiring the boyfriend, which we're supposed to believe just happened on the job, right? Nathan Wade actually sat down with Good Morning America, ABC News, to explain that this is just something that blossomed, love's in the air. Apparently when you go after Trump, Lisa Page Carter, remember Lisa and Carter, that little duo? Well, this is like the Fulton County equivalent, according to Nathan Wade. Let's listen.
Workplace romances are as American as apple pie. It happens to everyone.
Oh my gosh. All right. I've seen enough. Thank you very much. Okay. He wants us to normalize all this. We're going to normalize this behavior. It's all just cool. It's all dandy. It's very American to do this sort of thing, according to Nathan Wade. But here's the problem. Again, it goes back to not whether or not it happened on the job, but whether it happened before, because I think then you actually really, if it happened on the job, you can still actually make a case, I suspect, but it might even be worse if she hired him with the intention of benefiting financially. Now, these are the questions that are coming up, and they are being asked, and she is going to have to sit in this trial. There is an appeal going on, and she will have to testify. Meanwhile, Georgia Republicans are investigating her, but she's like, no, I won't do any of this. I won't have any part in it. You remember, I've shown you this clip before. She is outside the Georgia courthouse, basically, giving a big giant FU to the entire legal system because it only applies to one side, apparently.
Will you appear before a Georgia Senate committee without a subpoena?
Well, first of all, I don't even think they have the authority to subpoena me, but they need to learn the law.
So will you appear, yes or no?
I will not appear to anything that is unlawful. And I have not broken the law in any way. I said it, I'll say it amongst these leaders. I'm sorry folks get pissed off that everybody gets treated evenly.
All right. I think she answered that very well.
Good luck. Good luck, Fani. We are going to be watching and waiting. Put it that way. I don't think it's good news for this woman. Anyway, also, not very good news for Merrick Garland, who's on Capitol Hill right now, and he's sort of scrambling here because he's got the House Judiciary Committee led by Jim Jordan going after him tooth and nail, and he's firing back with a line of attack, frankly, that sounds a lot like what we were hearing from Maxine Waters. In other words, if you guys don't buy this, then you're part of the problem. You're all a bunch of conspiracy theorists if you think that we had anything at all to do with Fani Willis and the rest of them, right? Letitia James and Alvin Bragg. But it's a logical question to be asking. When the number 3 at the DOJ suddenly gets a job with Alvin Bragg to help prosecute that case, which just found Trump guilty on 34 counts, right? These are logical questions, and they're fair to ask, especially when you hold a trial in a place where you're not going to get a fair jury, for goodness sakes. All of 3 people voted for Donald Trump in New York City, and I was one of them. That was in 2016. I was smart enough to move by 2020. So here's the reality. Here's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. You have a very biased jury. You had a very biased judge who gave them a huge scope. I've never seen anything like this. I'm not a legal scholar, but it's a little bizarre when they go in on a misdemeanor and they somehow turn it into a felony and they say, hey, pick any of the above, A, B, or C. You don't have to be unanimous, the judge said, in what you actually think he may have done. You just have to be unanimous in that you think he did something. So there you go. And now they're threatening him with jail, which, by the way, will backfire. Just look at all the money he has raised. $200 million in the month of May alone. I mean, these are all-time records because everybody's coming out in force. Whether or not that translates to a win in November, I think there's a lot of time between now and then. It's all the more important that you focus, that you pay attention, you understand what's really going on in the news. Subscribe to the channel, right? Hit like, share it with your friends. Be here every day. We are live every single day. But Merrick Garland is trying to say, you know what? If you don't buy this, then you're part of the problem. And how dare you suggest that we had anything at all to do with Fani and Merrick Garland is suggesting, how dare you with Fani and with Alvin. I keep wanting to say Alvin and the Chipmunks. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. And of course, Jack Smith on top there and Letitia with come on. I mean, a $500 million fine in that bail.